Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Dota 2 recap show. This time it's episode 4, and we're jumping directly into the ESL One Berlin Major. Dream League has come and gone. The brand new patch has been dropped upon us, and we've had a few weeks now to be able to figure out what's been going on. A whole lot of Div 2, a whole lot of different tournaments going ahead, and now we are at the end of the group stages. Boys, back by my side once again. Danog and Aries, how are we feeling after our previous recording?
Well, I don't think that's enough of an introduction for a Berlin Major caster
Oh,
that we've got
very
here with
true.
us.
Oh, come on now. What
We've
the
got
fuck?
the insider info. We've got Aries.
Oh.
Woo, beep, beep, beep,
How
Damn, you got
feeling,
me
buddy?
blushing and shit. Holy, I don't know. I'm doing good, man. Wait, what? Wait, what? I just hear it. What
You heard
was
it,
that?
Yoshi.
Okay, what
a
the hell? I thought I was going crazy. All right. Yeah, I'm doing very well. Doing very well. We in between our recordings, I got some more water, so that's I'm
that's-
doing even better.
You're living
Doing
the
even
life.
Heck, I
You
did
can
the
afford
exact same.
anything now that you've cast a mage.
Yeah, dude, this water tastes pretty good. It's the
Dasani.
best of the best.
Yeah, that gold flecked shit. Do you drink sparkling or still? Real
Oh
question.
no, fuck! Sparkling is horrific.
Have you seen some of those tweets about it?
Uh,
The people over in Germany, like I think it was Quinn. He's like,
Quinn,
"What the
yeah.
fuck? I just got ganked by sparkling water."
That's
It's
the
so
worst.
good.
Is like you don't expect it because they don't ask you sparkling or still. You just get sparkling water, and you're like, "What?" You
And
just,
it's
your day
labeled
is
as
ruined.
something weird.
It's
It's
ruined.
like natural or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
is. That's what it is.
Sparkling. Oh my god.
Oh,
And,
that's-
There's nothing natural about sparkling water.
sparkling enjoyers, they're a different breed. You make no
It's just
sense to
a
me.
little essence of berry, you know? Then I'll be like, okay, maybe. If I'm actively seeking it out. If I just want to chug a big glass of water, that better not be carbonated.
it definitely is not something that a lot of people do like. I think you have to be a different breed to get into it. So, with ESL One Berlin, the group stages are already done. So we're going to backtrack a little bit here, boys. And we're going to talk about a few things going into it, and then we're going to talk about the results as a whole as well. And we might even touch on a few things afterwards as we get into it. So, what did we feel like about the groups? You know, Group A, Group B, obviously this is a conversation that happens every single time. There's a whole boatload of groups that happens. Which is the group of death? Which teams do we feel like had a much better run to be able to go towards the playoffs? Which teams do we feel like had a worse run, a lot harder teams, etc., etc.? I think for me personally, there was a very interesting group in Group A. The fact that Gaimin and Team Liquid were both in the same group. I don't know if that's something you should, I don't want to say ever do, but when it's top two teams from Western Europe, which has been the dominant region right now, I would be hard pressed to find a seeding that would put them in the same group.
Can I just quickly say, are we doing this?
Third, though, of the tour. So that's why.
Okay.
It was first and third and second and fourth, I think, in the two different groups. I think that's why it all happened.
Is our discussion being like taking place before the results, or like is this what we thought was
What
the
we
group
thought.
stage was? Okay.
What
okay.
you thought.
Sorry, continue. I just wanted to make sure I elaborated on that. So
Yeah,
I knew
I
what
felt
angle
like-
we're taking.
I
If you
mean,
needed to be fake. Yeah. I understand.
Okay, sure.
do I have to fake it or do I have to be real? Okay, I do understand. I completely forgot that Tundra came second, so that's understandable. I think probably looking at Group A, you're probably a little annoyed if you're some of these teams like TSM, for example, going into a group like that, going into a group where you've got Team Liquid, Gaimin, PSG, LGD, and even Evil Geniuses floating around in it. Like that's pretty rough, honestly. I think if you're a team like TSM.
After beating Shopify in your region. So like number one in NA gets the privilege of facing up against number one in Western Europe. And you're like, huh? Surely it should be the other way around, you know? But I'll be honest, I don't think if TSM would have gotten through to the playoffs, even if they were in Group B, you know? Like it was obviously a lot closer over in that one, just for being able to make it through. You know, Extreme were able to make it through with just the 6 wins. Sorry, spoilers. But top 6 were pretty damn even. Maybe the exception of Gaimin in Group A.
It was like both groups had an outlier at top, Gaming and Tundra, and then you kind of had the middle of the pack, but the middle of the pack was much larger in Group A. So heading into it, I didn't really have I honestly thought both groups were still pretty even. But when you look at Group B, I just thought Beast Coast Extreme and Talon were going to play much better than they did, and they didn't. Some of them got through, but I thought they were going to have more convincing results.
I mean, Talon got through based off of what I saw was like one strat that teams just seem to keep giving them, like the techies, Underlord, Void Spirit, plus a really hard carry. And
Yeah.
then they just were able to get about 4 bullshit wins off the back of it and able to make it through. So let's go see, baby. We're still in the game.
That's all you need, baby. You just need them dubs, and the fact that it's best of twos as well, and that's something I want to talk about is best of two group stages. It's been something that we've had a whole lot of in Dota for a very, very long time. I think these majors have been this style for I don't know however long it has been, but being two group stages, it is.
I'm gonna say it's fucking boring.
Yeah, it is. It
They're
is kind of
boring. The
boring.
games are shit.
Because
It's just what it is.
If it was in front of a crowd, I would completely agree. Because they're playing in hotels or whatever, I don't think it matters quite as much. This is seeding, is what it is.
Yeah.
And so I think best of twos are fine. Anything in front of a crowd should never be a best of two. There needs to be a result at the end of the day.
Do
don't
we
wanna-
think that they should change to best of threes? Obviously, it increases the days, and there already is a shitload of days that happens in these group stages, considering it is 16 teams. But do we feel like that best of threes should happen at some point in the group stages, or are we fine with the results that we're getting out of BO2s, where some teams are quote unquote scraping in because they get some bullshit wins?
I think I'm fine with best of twos just because firstly, I don't think you can do best of threes in group stages. It just take way too long. And again, we have to think of I don't have the greatest infrastructure knowledge on what it takes for a tier to run an event, but that's just so much extra money they need to be able to actually hold an event for maybe 3, 4 even extra days for group stages. It's probably not feasible at all. So
Sorry to interrupt, but the way that they're doing it is like round robin, right? Which obviously takes the longest because you have to play everyone. The other option is double elimination, which is far too quick. You can just get like 2 series, you're out, and that really feels pretty crappy. The middle ground is Swiss, which we've seen a few tournaments do. And are you familiar with the Swiss format, Lockie?
I'll say no just so you can elaborate, everyone.
Oh, thank you, man. That's what I wanted to hear. Just a chance for me to explain. It's basically if you win, you play against someone else who won. If you lose, you play against someone else who lost. If it's 1-1, then you play against someone else that went 1-1. And then I think at the end of the day, to qualify through, you need like 3 wins out of 5, I think is the typical way that you look to do it. And then that's how you move on to the next stage. I'm not sure if you can seed into lower bracket off the back of that. I'm sure they could find a way to do it. But, that's sort of a middle ground where you could even potentially put all of these different teams into the same pot, let's say, and then just like seed first versus 18th and then go from there. So I think the way they're doing it is fine. I think, again, TSM really drew the short end of the stick here by being placed into what was, in my opinion, the much harder group. Even a team like BetBoom, who underperformed, really probably would have gotten out of Group B. So it's like, how do you make these things? But no, you can't be perfect every single time. There's going to be some surprises. Like, for me, Nine Pandas doing incredibly well.
Yeah. I mean, this was a team who I had very low expectations for, considering the last major, the Lima major.
With the stand-in.
That is true, I suppose, but they still finished at the bottom of the bottom to get into the lower bracket, and then they were eliminated in the first round. And that was another that was still in the tour. They had really good results as well, but just kind of didn't. They fell short of the major, and I was a little bit concerned it'd be similar with Solo not being there, but. This is a pretty scary team, dude. I'm very excited to see how they're going to be able to shape up in best of threes on the main stage as well.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big thing for a lot of these teams that maybe have made some, I don't want to say shock inclusions, but what they look like in a best of 3. I think Talon is another one of those teams that is a team like, what are they going to look like in a best of 3? Like, do they have the legs to be able to take some of these teams out in a best of 3 elimination? Maybe, depending on who they're going up against. But I think that the playoff bracket is going to be a bit rough. I understand why the format has been the way it is, just kind of circling back to that conversation a little bit. I understand why it has been. Like, giving a standardized format for majors really takes a lot of the legwork out for a lot of these TOs, right? Because at the end of the day, they're footing a pretty big bill, and sometimes they're putting them in some different and new places as well. And if you take one of the, I don't want to say one of the hardest parts about making a tournament, but one of the difficult challenges is making a tournament structure that is not only entertaining for everybody, but is also fair for all the players. That doesn't force them to play a shitload of games. And
Competitive integrity.
Competitive integrity, it's trying to keep that. And I don't know how many Dota tournaments have done Swiss in the past, but there's a lot of esports tournaments domestically that do a lot of Swiss that I think is a really good way of getting through a whole lot of these teams, and that might make
CS does it a lot.
CS does do a lot, but I think the one issue that you could have is some of the big teams that will draw a lot of the viewership, i.e. Liquid, the Secrets, OGs, all those kind of teams that are going to be able to pull a lot of the big viewers. They won't play as much, because if you're Team Liquid and you win your first 3 series, you are done for the next couple of days of group stages, and then you just sit back and what do you really do? You sit and practice, and you're watching these lower tier teams, and that could be one of the issues that these tournament organizers are looking at, is just being like, hey, if we do a best of 2 round robin, everybody has to play everybody at least once, and you will be able to pull viewership across all your streams.
In general, I like Dota's formats. In a lot of other esports tournaments, you see single elim go through, and I hate single elim after a certain point. It's so bad. You can earn your double chance, and I feel like Dota's got a really good sweet spot. So in terms of like just overall format, big fan.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't hide, the best of 2s don't hide the teams who are strong, and they don't hide the teams who are bad, I don't believe. Like, I think everyone who plays top 4 makes a lot of sense. Tundra, OG, Spirit, Shopify in Group B, Group A, Gaming, 9 Pandas, Liquid, PSG, LGD. Like, best of 2s don't hide who are the good teams and who are the worst teams. Like, maybe you'd be able to edge out a victory towards the middle of the pack if it was a best of 3, but I think it's... What's up? What are we chuckling at?
I'm sorry. I'm turning into a Suns fan and Cinder simp, but simpterin. But I was remembering something from one of their casts of that tiebreaker, the 5th to 7th place tiebreaker, and they were going past the wishing well, one of the new little areas on the map that you could farm. And he's like, man, I wish BetBoom, tossed a coin in that wishing well, wishing they didn't get 2-0'd by execration, so they would avoid these tiebreakers. Because that was it at the end of the day. They would have been there in an easy 5th, and now they're not even in the next stage. And this is twice now that they've bombed out of a tournament, despite being that big dream squad. I mean, you tweeted about it, right, Aries? That it's they're fast becoming the elephant of Eastern Europe.
They are. It's. I'm kind of disappointed, and I didn't tweet this, and I'll actually say it here.
Oh shit! Exclusive.
I don't have any information. Say that again.
They had a stand-in too, though.
At this one or Lima?
Yeah. This one, right?
Yeah. Yes. But you have fucking a Resolution, one of probably the best stand-ins you can get for a CIS team. This man destroys as a stand-in. Remember back in
Empire.
the Empire run when
he carried
they
them to
EG?
like a TI, like.
And he's a really
he carried them to like
good
6th as well.
Yeah,
TI.
They place really high. He's a fucking good offlaner, man. Like, very, very talented player. Nightfall as well was one of the better position ones, and I think transitioned very easily to the 1. Well, he's not a 1 anymore, so that's the thing. But like, he was easily able to transition. I think, yes, even though there was a stand-in, unfortunate scenarios, I think they still, like, this is a killer team. And just before we continue on, I think they're going to make a roster change. I think GPK's off. I think Toronto Tokyo goes back to the 2. They're going to pick up a 5. I was thinking FNG, but he's on VP, so I don't think, unless he thinks their chances with the VPs aren't going to be good at all, because if you make a roster change, you're pretty much going through qualifiers. That's what it's going to say. So I think GPK is going to be off the team. I think Toronto Tokyo is back to the 2, and it's just a question of, does Nightfall stay as a 1 or a 3, and what the hell happens with Pure? But
True.
That's what I think, at least, and let's see, because BetBoom, they're a disappointment. That it's just that they are the elephant of Eastern Europe. That's what it is.
Well, like, this has been a team that everybody has been wanting to do a lot of work, right? Like, everybody is saying, what is this team? Like, where has been the results for this team? Like, I'm having a look at their page right now, right? Like,
can I put in a suggestion there?
Go.
If that change happens, Roger to 5. He's playing on Dark-Sided at the moment.
He's not a natural
True.
5 though, and I haven't
playing
seen
well.
enough. Say that again.
He's been playing well though.
I know. I haven't seen enough 9 Panda games to like have a better input. All I can really say is he's not a natural 5, and I don't know, like if the
Save can
transition's
play
going to be
5
easy.
though, as well, is the thing. Like you can move Save
Do
to
you-
being a 5. I don't think you want that.
Yeah,
Save's
yeah,
an
I was gonna
incredibly
say
good
that.
player, but
I-
it's good to have that flexibility, right?
So, I would be able to give you more information if I got to cast more 9 Panda games. I just have not seen how well Roger's been playing so far.
Mm-hmm.
Should have demanded it.
Yeah, I would have demanded all Liquid games. In fact, I am the Tundra specialist, just so
You are.
everyone is aware. 5 Tundra games, 5 Tundra series I casted. So, Tundra and I are homie G's.
Homie,
Mhm.
jeez. All right. I'll call on that a little bit later when we need to get some Tundra insight. But I do agree. I think BetBoom, they need to make some changes because right now, when you're not making a lot of outside of a lot of these group stages for these majors, and you're finishing first or even second in your DPC, you definitely need to make some changes if you're looking like a team like that. So keep an eye out for those guys to see what they do change up. Is there anything else from any other teams from these standings that were saying are a little bit of a disappointment? I think for me, Beast Coast is probably I don't want to say a big disappointment, but the fact that they weren't able to eke in, they're only one map away from forcing tiebreakers with Extreme, and I believe it was the last couple of games as well. That one game that Extreme beat Shopify, right? In their
Yeah, because
final
they
series.
2-0'd Extreme. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think they just lost a few too many series against teams that they probably should have beaten more cleanly. Like SMG and Invictus Gaming, they won one. So it comes down to that, right? If you force tiebreaks against Extreme, we've talked with a bunch of pro players that say how important like matchups can be. Going into a lot of these events, like you probably wouldn't expect Talon to beat Shopify in 22 minutes, but they did. Some teams just have a way to be able to play that other teams aren't expecting and just obviously don't play up against. That's what's great about these LANs, right? You've got these cross-regional playstyles that sometimes the weaker team comes out on top.
Yeah. So, what do we feel about South America then? The fact that EG, they were able to just squeak themselves in through some tiebreakers, and Beast Coast weren't even able to force the tiebreakers. That was a region that I felt like was going to do a whole lot better in Dream League. Could it just be the new patch? They're not being able to adapt fast enough. Maybe the time in the sun has come to a close here for South America. Like, what do we feel about that region right now?
I think it could just be maybe as simple as them being they're not an experienced region, and they don't have the capability to adapt like some of the other teams. I mean, you take a look at everyone who is performing well at the major right now. Like they've been in Dota for a long time. They've been able to build up their ideas, and maybe those ideas are working a little bit better on the new patch. It could just be a year thing overall. Then they don't really have that on some of the South American teams. I don't know how big of a factor that is. What do you think, Matt?
Let me ask a very fair question to both of you. How long can we use that excuse for them? Because there's been 2 SA qualifier slots for a little bit now, and these teams have basically taken every single one of those slots, have been to plenty of majors, they've been to TIs before. How long can we give that excuse?
Okay,
Because
so
they've done very well in other tournaments in the past. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't think you can take like one poor showing at a tournament as like, oh, that's it, they're over, it's done. I just don't think we can go back to the well of they're inexperienced anymore, because they're not. To be honest, they're more experienced than Execration, some of Talon members, for
That's
example,
true.
some of the 9Pandas guys. Like, how many lands has Kiyotaka played? How many has Antares played? Very few. So it's like, yeah, you've got people there to be able to coach them and bring them up, but as a whole, they really shouldn't be getting the land jitters anymore.
Yeah, I just mean it more on the angle of like, this is a new patch. How many times have they gone through a new patch experience where they've had to work things out on the fly? Like, when you've been around the game for a long time, on like Shopify's members and Tundra's members, like there was a couple of interviews as well, and when Dream League was going on, and the questions were getting asked like, is your team comfortable and confident with being able to actually adapt to a patch? And I think this was one in particular where Fly had the interview and the question was asked to him, and he said yes, because his response is, well, look at what we did when the DPC, I can't remember what year it was, when the NA major was going on, when they were finishing twice in every single major. They were adapting at a consistent rate to all the new patches. They were a team that thrived on that, with being able to work out the new best thing. And that's what I kind of mean by the experience thing. Maybe I agree, like overall, like they shouldn't get the jitters at like a LAN event or something, but I just mean, like, have they had enough time to be able to build such a well of ideas when a new patch comes around and makes it easier for them to be able to work out what's broken and what's not?
I think they have.
Okay.
It comes down to performance for me now. At the end of the day,
And they underperformed at such a, like, yeah, they did not look good.
And I think the thing for me is a lot of their key players aren't performing either. Like I'm looking back at some of these games. One series that I do remember vividly is a series against Liquid. And Whisper was playing this offlane mag, and his the way he was like item building it and playing for his team just didn't feel right in that game. Like, yeah, I know that the panel talked about it a whole boatload, was the fact that he didn't build any of the auras on this mag, and he went for like an Aghanim Scepter after his Blink Dagger. And, you know, I don't know how you guys feel with like mag and Horn Toss, but the way it he's sitting right now, it feels like it's a very big investment when he much needed like some of those auras to be able to mitigate some of the damage that was coming in from like the Sven and all that kind of stuff. And then game number 2, they went back for a lot of their super classic comfort heroes. You know, Whisper on the Panda, Sea Smile on the Quap, and again, their players that didn't perform on their top tier heroes. And I think one thing for me for both of those two teams is they've been in Europe for a long time. They've had the same amount of time on the patch as everybody else, and they've been in Europe screwing a lot of those big teams and playing in Dream League.
Yep.
So they've had a lot of experience, and I think they're just, maybe it could just be a little bit of burnout from those guys. So that could be a thing. Is maybe it's a lot of the pressure from their region as a whole, and
they did get eliminated from Dream League pretty early.
yeah, but it's like, you know, you're still in Europe for that whole time. You're still screaming. You're still playing the new patch and all that kind of stuff. And they just
and everyone is
haven't performed. And I think this EG squad should be performing a lot better than what they are.
I agree.
EG
Whisper's a star. Whisper's an absolute star.
Yeah.
So like, maybe he's just having a slump. People have slumps. You know, the best players in the world have form slumps. But it's just going to be, how do they come back from it? You know, and I feel like there's time. You know, these two teams are most likely still going to be going to the Bali Major. Maybe if it comes down to climate, right? They had pretty decent showings in the Lima Major, and now they're in Germany, which, you know, they're a little bit of a different climate, but, you know, hot, humid down in Bali. They might be feeling a little bit more like at home.
I just took a look at the rankings as well. This is also without taking into consideration the Berlin Major now, but currently Beast Coast, they're in 4th place, and EG they're in 6th. So sorry, 7th. And you got to keep in mind, like, these two teams, you're also going to get more points. Yes, exactly right. They're going to get a lot more points from this next up and coming tour. I can't see them both not coming 1st and 2nd. So even though they didn't place the greatest I mean, EG still in, they could have quite the low bracket run, but you are still more than likely going to be able to make it to TI just off the back of points.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think what was the minimum required last year for TI? 1,000 or 1,100?
1120 or something?
Yeah, I think it was like 1,100.
Yeah,
so Liquid's the closest to be able to mathematically lock themselves in, which is obvious, the fact that they're able to come first in 2 of the tours so far and get themselves a pretty good shout at the Lima Major as well, coming 2nd. So yeah, maybe it might just be a thing where at the end of the day, we're still going to see these guys at TI probably, and the region may just be having a bit of a slump. But I feel like I probably put a little bit higher expectations on this EG roster, considering they are all superstars, and that roster can have some pretty high highs, and it's just unfortunate that we're seeing them just scrape in through tiebreakers in, I mean, to be fair, pretty rough Group A. So
it was 10-20. Sorry, I'm just looking back at last year's thing, and there's the 2 different columns. There's the Valve points, and there's the Liquipedia points. So the Liquipedia points still has outsiders qualifying by 0.05 points. It's like,
no. Oh no no no.
Don't bring up any old wins, okay? There may be some myth fans. That's
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think a lot
That's
of
a
people would
tough.
like to forget about that one. That was
Let's see, got in, baby. Let's go.
So
interesting
did
couple
we
of days.
have we kind of done Group A? Do we want to do Group B?
Yeah, let's do Group
'Cause,
B. Let's do Group B.
Okay.
Because
So
I think the biggest thing from Group A to round it out, TSM had a very poor performance. I don't know how long we can keep running on those guys being top in DPC but not being able to perform internationally.
Sorry, really quick. Did Group A pan out as you expected it to?
Yes, I think I probably put 9 Pandas a little lower. I probably would.
I would put 9 Pandas where BetBoom is and bump
Yeah,
everyone
same.
up a slot.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought
Yep.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good job to them. Congrats. Keen to see what they're able to do in the upper bracket against. Who are they against?
They are against Shopify.
Shopify. So 2-0.
For
For
9
Shopify.
Pandas, yeah.
For Shopify.
Yes, for 9 Pandas,
Yeah, for
Matt. You're
Shopify.
exactly right. So yeah, Group B. I really think no surprises with the at least bottom two, and then
East
whoever
Coast
the
could have been a bit higher.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only team like I feel like you could have interchanged with someone else. I think IG, I had very low expectations for them heading into it. SMG, I didn't get to cast any of their games, so I didn't
I
get
had
to
even
watch
lower
many as well.
expectations for SMG
Yeah,
than
I
did
thought they
IG.
would have been below IG when I saw those groups.
Yeah, it just I'm fortunate for SMG. I don't know. I mean, the one
It's
games that I
experience
know.
for some of the guys, right? So,
Yes, that's the big thing, but it just seemed like it's simple as to say their ideas were not up to par with some of the others. I mean, no one else is running offlane Muerta. They really struggled with that. Then it seems like they've gone back to having mid one playing as more of a carry 3 and sacrificing
he never
Chidori.
left.
And
He
yeah,
never
so
left.
and look, Chidori would have like carried them through a lot of DPC games in the tour. So the fact that you're lowering his priority, like it just is maybe just their
It rubs me the
ideas.
wrong way,
Yeah.
right? Like,
in what
surely you have
way?
to put some faith in Chidori after he performed so well for you, right? Like, and I feel like that's where C has kind of come unstuck in a little bit of things in the past, right? You just think of was it Geek Fam that kicked, was it Rogi for Jiao?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they get relegated, and it's like, well, turns out he was providing a whole lot more to you than you were probably expecting, right? And no shade to Jiao, I love Jiao, but it's just one of these things that roster changes happen at times, but I really feel like this sort of shuffling and if it works for you, don't change it. Geek Fam got second qualified from the last tour 1. Yeah, that things didn't work out amazingly for them at the major, but it was a lot of people's first major ever. And I feel like it was just a little bit too reactionary to be able to make that sort of change. Same sort of thing with SMG, right?
I really wonder how because I can never be in that position, but we can both say, and I feel like I would have this outlook, but obviously teams don't. Because I agree with you. It's like you went for Geek Slate we're speaking about. You went to the major, you placed poorly, but you're a team that firstly I don't think you're expecting to place well, and you're going there for experience. That's a huge thing for all the players.
They were close to getting the lower bracket as well. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't
they
like
had
they got blown out.
they had tiebreakers. They lost
Yeah.
to
Entity?
I think no BetBoom. It was I think BetBoom
Sure,
just
close
took
though.
them. So
And they were pretty
and
close tiebreakers too, from what I remember.
they were. So it's just like a bit. I don't know how. I would hope they'd have the mindset of like you're going there to get experience and you want to take that away. But I don't know if there's just a vocal person that's not highlighting that to the team or really standing up and being like, guys, this is huge for us just experience wise. I don't know what's going on because I feel like that is the best outlook you should have with the scenario of you getting kind of bombed out of a major. Well, they didn't get bombed out, but they didn't make it through the bracket. So.
Well,
anyway,
hopefully
that's
they go
Geek Slate.
back. Trust Chidori again, in my opinion. 2 or 3, I want to see Chidori playing these win condition heroes. I want to see them still have a little bit of that SMG flair, but don't go too out of left field,
don't you don't have to reinvent the
Slug
wheel,
3.
but just
But
go
Slug
back.
4's okay.
Well,
According to you.
So I mean, Sarks has been spamming Slark 4 in pubs, and he's actually been winning a lot of games. So
what's the deal with it then? Like, what's this Slark for? I haven't seen it, so I don't know what the fuck's going
pub
on.
build that I saw from him was like Well, firstly, I think he uses Blood Grenade incredibly well, so that's a big thing. But he goes like double Wraith Band and then into like drums, boots of bearing. That's pretty much the build, and he'll go shard as well. So I don't. At least a couple of his pub games, he paired it with the Darkseer, and Matt, do you remember? Did he play? Was the Darkseer with the? Sorry, was the Slark with the Darkseer in that 4 game as well? I don't remember.
Can't recall.
I don't know if you. Yeah. So I don't know how good the Slark 4 is, but honestly, he's played it in a lot of pubs recently, and he's been having success. So I think I'd be happy with the Slark 4 than a Slark 3. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
He's got the bongo boots. Just putting it out there. Even some of the best players in the world are enjoyers.
Bongo
Bongo
Boots
Boots up.
is pretty broken, and he actually did play with a Darkseer that game. If you think he made
Okay.
game 2 with the SMG,
Yes,
Yep.
that's the one.
it
So
was a Darkseer.
So as the Tundra specialist, this team is going to be in the grand finals. Everyone rejoice. They
Against who?
are not against gaming. It's going to be gaming Tundra grand finals, a
Ooh.
Western Europe affair. Tundra are not a boring team, so whatever anyone has that opinion, this team is fucking fun to watch, dude. I'm watching them run an off-lane Medusa going a phylactery and just bodying people. We already spoke about the Slark. I think they have some of the best ideas heading into the major, and I think a lot of their ideas permeated into other teams as well. The mid Alchemist, and people still haven't copied Nine's build where he goes Phase Boots, Armlet, and Blink. He absolutely destroys. Alchemist is such an incredible laner. And then Coddle. They were the first teams I saw running the Coddle, and now everyone is playing this as a
Mid
force.
bounty.
Yeah, mid bounty. So I think this just Tundra, and we've started like this thing about ideas has really come into the forefront when we're speaking about teams like over the last year. But this is a team who at the moment have, I think, probably the best ideas out of a vast majority of them at the major currently.
And that's why we
Right.
talked about them at the end of Dream League, that we thought that they
Mm.
were going to do really well because these guys are fucking nerds, and they're showing it right
Mm.
now that they've been able to figure it out. To be fair, I think Shopify are starting to copy them a decent amount. I saw them do that mid Alchemist and all that other jazz, but yeah, I think Tundra, they're going to be in a good shout to be able to get this done, but it's about can teams force them and deal with some of these ideas, because that's kind of, I don't want to say that's how they won TI, but that's how they got really deep in that tournament, and they were able to abuse a lot of their good ideas, and teams were slow to catch up to the ideas that Tundra was putting forward, and they seem like they are much more pioneers of a lot of these ideas rather than following the pack.
You got any ideas, by the way? Any big brain ideas that you just want to throw out there that hasn't been discovered yet?
The one thing I actually sent this to Blitz. Position
didn't.
4
No,
position
you
4 PA
didn't.
with phylactery.
Oh my fucking
Yeah,
god.
And his response was like Lamau.
Yeah, and I told him, I was like, if you guys pick it and it loses, you can't blame me. So that's my one thing that I threw out there was position 4 PA with phylactery and a orbital corrosion, because you can get people down to minimum move speed.
Bro, they were saving it for playoffs, and now you've given it away.
Yeah.
Big
Now
brain.
you've
That's the one thing. That's the one thing that I can think of that hasn't been shown in this patch. Like a lot of support stuff. I have been seeing support clinks float around
ugh.
again with the
So what,
phylactery.
down in 2K? Yeah, all right.
Nah,
Sorry,
come
brother.
on,
We're
bro.
speaking about the fucking major here. Next
Nah,
topic.
come on, man. You
so I
can't
think
do
for
me
T-Gov
like
T-Gov
this.
playing it. I saw T-Gov playing it as a 5.
I've seen a lot of Immortal
ranked.
players, a lot of Immortal support players play it as a 5. Tarbomb
yeah?
I'll
is,
be honest,
is
I have
pretty
not
broken.
seen it a single time in my. How many games have I played Locky? I've lost count.
Because you're the
Fucking
5 player, so
spamming.
you're the guy who's playing like Winter Wyvern and all this other
Nope.
boring
No, it's
Crystal
trash.
Maiden, fucking
CM
Clockwork.
Veto Clockwork. Give me the. Oh, I Disruptor. Disruptor's still good.
That's climbing. He's got a pretty good win rate right now, so I feel like, yeah, if he
Yeah,
says
maybe
the
you can
clinks
take a few notes, Mr. Underlord Spammer.
Dude, wait, look at my green carpet. It is a green carpet. I got shafted.
Of Underlord.
Yeah, exactly.
Just ban it and you're dead.
Hey, I had my offlane Medusa game at 1, all right?
Oh, that's true.
Wait, you played offlane Medusa? Oh,
Yeah,
god.
dude, that shit is so free. It's actually
Yeah.
that hero is bonkers. I need Ice Frog to deal with that, but
So, yeah.
OG.
Tundra, what a-
I want to talk about OG.
okay, yeah.
Sure.
I was
What
gonna
are we
say,
thinking
is there
about
anything
them?
else in Group B that we want to talk about?
I mean, I
Definitely
put
OG.
OG in my C tier on my tier list, and it
Mm.
was purely because of standards. Because I think this team was really building up a lot of momentum towards the latter end of the Western Europe DPC. So I was thinking, oh, it sucks, and it feels like it came very much on short notice as well. and to have
Mhm.
2 stand-ins felt a little bit more weird. Plus the coach as well. So it's like, well, how much can you look to adjust on it? But I mean, Kittrack's adjusting really well. But I almost say that Mind Control's been the player of the whole group stage. To be honest, how do you guys feel about that?
I agree. I think the way that he's been able to, I don't know, it feels like he's a bit reinvigorated. It could be some of the heroes of the patch as well. I think he definitely was one of those players that was able to.
He can play anything.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those steadfast offlaners. I think is a big thing for me, and it seems like from what I've seen across Twitter and a lot of interviews and stuff, and he's bringing a lot of energy to the team, and he just seems like happy to be there, man. Like it's been a long time since he's been at a major, so it seems like
Remember
he
when
just
he
wants
stood
to
in
play.
for NIP at the KL major? I
And
think it
he
was. They got 4th.
bodied. He played so well that event. So
He's the reason
MC,
they qualified to TI.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
That showing.
MC stand-in's a different beast, man. I don't know. It's a nice. We get to see because we haven't been reminded in a little bit. Maybe there's been like flashes here and there of like Nigma in like random games throughout the tour, but now we're seeing it on a consistent basis. Well, I mean, this is MC at a land. Keep it like what
True.
we saw.
Nigma always do better at lands.
Yeah,
even
when
with
was
their
it?
overall lower performances?
It was Riyadh, yeah, Matt, where they
Riyadh and
they played
Malaysia,
at
they
LAN.
did pretty reasonable.
Yeah, but and that was the one where I'm like, holy shit!
They
Didn't
got
they
like
come
top 6.
third?
They
Yeah,
got
yeah,
top
yeah.
6.
And that's the thing, dude. MC to land, this man's a fucking different beast. I mean, he is reminding everyone why he's, I mean, he won a TI. He's an incredible offlaner. And like you said, he's just it looks like he's having a lot of fun. The interviews seem to be showcasing that they're really enjoying him. And I also want to say the content that's going to come out of them now, if from this major, is going to be so incredible. I mean, we just had like all the Seb documentary, and then they revealed their comms as well versus Fnatic, and now we get to get more content of MC in there too. I'm excited.
So, who are the content kings in Dota right now? OG are up there. Team Spirit released a lot of vlogs, especially
Yeah.
around
Yeah,
like the Arlington
do.
major, which was great to see.
They're doing ones
And
currently for this major too, I think.
nice,
Yes,
nice.
they
And
are.
I would have to say Tundra do a decent amount of content as well, but it's not like game related content. It's like fluff content. So, but other than that, can you think of a team that really
Liquid used to
invests
do a
into it?
little bit of it,
Yeah,
right?
a
They
little bit.
used to have some of their vlogs and stuff like that, but I don't think there's many other teams that do like the content much like that we've seen from OG and Team Spirit.
I think I wouldn't put them on the same level, but I'd say for Southeast Asia at least, you'd have Talon. That's probably the best for at least them in particular. But I don't think they're at the same level of your OGs and your spirits as well. But they do release a couple of vlogs as well, travel vlogs and all that. I know they've got a couple up, and usually at the majors they'll have some boot camp videos as well. So they're a
I
little
think
bit
TSM
behind.
does a
But
little bit. It's mostly Moon doing it, where it's like, checking into the boot camp area and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So they do that a little bit. More stuff. People want to see behind the scenes.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
fans are
Yes, yes.
craving for it, that even the worst of shit posts get upvoted to the front of Reddit.
I think the thing is fans just want to know what it's like to be at a major and at a
Yeah.
tournament, and like whenever you see like behind the scenes stuff of like, what do these guys do when their officials are over? What do they do when their day's done? What do they do when the group
How
stage
much do
is
they
done?
bench?
Yeah,
all that
like
sort of
how much they bench?
is this guy a folder or a scruncher? Like, I need to know that. I need to understand.
Oh,
Does he like
God.
still or sparkling? Like, there's a lot of questions about these pro players
Still.
that I need answers for. And at the end of the day, if you pump out that
You can
content,
tell a lot about a man if he says sparkling.
I thought you were gonna
It's
say
like, yeah,
if he's a folder or a scruncher, and I was gonna be like,
No,
God
no, no,
damn.
no. Sparkling water, you get ganked. You
Very-
get ganked so
It's
easily.
very German, for sparkling water.
Can't be getting ganked in real life. I mean, you gotta do the ganking in game, right? You gotta come on, keep the KDA looking pretty level.
Speaking of TSM,
Mm.
I might be jumping ahead here. What do we think about that tweet? That
Okay,
Well,
but
let's
before
just
before we
start.
before we get to the end here, that's something I want to touch on at the end. I've got one last question before we get off the games and start talking about a few of these other things. So, from both of you two, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch as much of this major as I'd liked. I got to spatter a few games here and there. So, Denog, we'll start with you because Mr. Major Aries will be able to have maybe a little bit more of an insight into this. What was your favorite game? Is there one game that kind of like stood out to you that was like, holy shit, this is something cool from the patch, or the way this player played was really, really cool? Is there anything that just kind of sticks in your mind from this major games?
Yes, I just need
Go.
to find it.
Okay. Aries, is there anything that sticks in your mind from the games that you
Uh,
covered or even watched?
Unfortunately for me, they're kind of all blurred together. So
The
that's
life
yeah.
of a
I mean,
caster. You cast too much that
that's
you're like, I
I
can't
was
remember an individual game to save my
no,
life.
it's yeah. You just I had to digest a lot of Dota, so it's kind of all just
Liquid
blurred in.
Execration, game one, where the Earth Spirit was kicking around a Medusa constantly in team fights to
Oh, was
prevent
that the
her from taking
Octarine?
objectives.
Was
Yeah,
that Tino's?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
it
Okay.
was
Yeah.
Tino's Earth Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. It
That
was a
was super
very
cool. Coming in from
yeah.
Execration, the offlane Earth Spirit.
Although I have to say, I was at a bar at the time, and as soon as I saw this draft, I was like, they're not going to win this game. And to their credit, they pushed it out to 60 plus minutes against a Medusa. And, you know, it kind of felt like an uphill battle, but, you know, they made it work for it.
They definitely did. There was also one game that I remember from Execration, I think it was, and it was like they got absolutely bodied. What's the game? It was like
There's so many to choose.
there was
Yeah.
okay. It's
Which one did they get bodied?
game two versus Nine Pandas. It was their final game of the group stage. It had already been mathematically eliminated, and they were getting hunted by this bounty hunter.
Oh, that yeah.
And it was-
Any mid bounty hunter
yeah.
that's in a good mid lane is just going to stomp.
Was it a
I
mid?
just-
No, it was
I
off
just
lane.
looked
It was
at-
off
Hold
lane.
on, hold on, hold on. Kill score, Lockie. If you didn't watch it,
No, I know
What?
it was. I know it was not good. It was like 48-5. Like I don't know, some ridiculous
24 minutes.
Yeah, 49-5.
49
There
to
you go.
5.
They're pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the
Man.
games that I got to watch, and I tuned in to Trent and Purge, the old double analyst duo, and it the entire time they were just talking about how many charges could the bounty get on the vessel. I think he ended with like 16 or 17, but that was
Sounds about right.
one of those games where I legitimately would have been okay with them like forfeiting at like 10 minutes or like
Yeah.
GGing out at like 10 minutes. Like that game was done. That game was so over. Bob just literally couldn't do anything on the map. They were just being perma-hunted, and I understood why they stood in the, and they stayed in the game. It's the last game of the major, you know, make them work for it, but God, that was a big stomp. That was
Rough way to go out. Rough way to go out.
that was rough. So that's the one that stuck in with me. All right, so let's start getting into these final couple of topics, and we can close this episode out. So emerging meta from the major, boys. Obviously, Medusa, and I think Bounty has been those three heroes that really stood out to me. I think this Medusa hero is chalked as I tweeted about it yesterday, I think it was, and I think this hero feels unfair. Obviously, she doesn't have a 100% win rate. I understand that. She does have some counters in the game and what have you, but I feel like that a lot of these teams are able to draft themselves into such good spots that all it takes is a small slip from a team and you get deuced, and it feels like the game's over. Like, how do you guys feel about it?
You just need high. A lot of the times you want percent damage, not against Usa. You just want high damage numbers. So something like a Timber Saw feels pretty good. Mana Burn feels amazing against her, but outside of that, not many counters, gotta say.
So is there any other heroes that we feel like is going to become a little bit more meta? Because obviously the group stages, there was a lot of games. It feels like the meta is shifting into one way or another, but there still is the playoffs to play. The teams are going to start to come up with some new and different stuff. Do we feel like some of these strategies that we've seen, or maybe some heroes that may not have had the dubs so far, could creep into a meta?
I think Batrider is still yet to be discovered.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I bring him up is because I saw Nine play a really interesting Batrider where he went like a 1-1-4 build and max 5 fly. That was versus Slark lane as well mid, and he bodied. He went like Vanguard, rushed into Octarine. So I think that hero is undiscovered. I don't know if they're gonna have enough time though, because there's no break, right? Maybe there's a 1-day break before the main stage games, but
You are Mr. Tundra.
yeah, well, because that's the one game that I saw the Batrider have a lot of success in. I know this hero can be broken, and he seems like he can be right now, but there was just a lot of changes where I don't think people have a good grasp of him. So I think like there's not going to be many surprises heading into the playoffs. I think you've got your top 5 supports, you got your top 5 offlaners, and it seems like the pool has kind of been worked out. There might be some surprise picks here and there, but nothing too crazy, I don't think.
Yep. All right. So predictions, top 3. I want to hear them right now. And if I hear the word Tundra come out of anybody, I'm ending the episode.
Sorry.
All right,
Sorry,
Danog,
sir.
we'll start with you because I know where Aries is going to go. So, what's your top three?
Yeah, he's gonna say what? Liquid, Tundra, and is
It's
it
wrong,
Gaiman or
actually.
Shopify is gonna be his next one.
That's incorrect, but I'll let it. I'll let it simmer. You guys go, and
Alright,
I'll.
let me
okay.
have a look again. I mean, Gaiman, yes.
So,
Uh,
obviously,
This
we
is-
have the
so we're
luxury
doing-
of looking at the playoff bracket as well.
Yeah.
oh yeah, true. Should probably think.
So we're doing top three. Yeah.
Top three. Yep.
Not like grand finals. All right, top. Well, Matt's looking top three for me is Gaming Tundra. Again, I think they're going to be grand finals. And then I think it's either
no eithers.
no either.
You have to make a choice. It's a top three. It ain't a top 3 or 4.
All right, my bad. Jesus Christ, sorry.
My life.
I think no. I think OG.
Okay.
Are OG gonna beat Liquid?
No, they are not. I have not. Well, we can do this in a little bit. We don't have to do it now, but I don't know why the fuck they chose Liquid in their
Okay,
playoffs.
I'm
But
glad
anyway.
you said it because I was going to reveal OG picked Liquid. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Quite
I saw that and I laughed and I wanted to. Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything just yet, so I'm not going to send any
So you
messages
think OG
out.
are
but
going to make that big lower bracket run? They're going to beat Extreme Gaming. They're going to beat
That's true, actually.
Team Spirit or Asta. See, you got to think about
That's
these
true. I
things.
didn't think about that.
Yeah,
I just
that's
thought
a
about
long
that.
run.
So I wanted to say Spirit, but I think a big issue with Collapse is he doesn't like aura offlaners, and I think you just it's a requirement. I don't care what you just have to do it. You got to play the auras. I know
And fair
people
play
have been.
Gaming first round as well.
Oh, true. There you go. So that's I wanted to say Spirit third instead of OG, but then again, Collapse doesn't buy auras, so I'm just like maybe not. But then, like you just said, Matt, I don't think OG are going to beat Liquid. Then they're going to make a low bracket run. But anyway, fuck it. I'll say they can do it. So that's my top three. Matt, what's yours?
All right. I'm going to say Game and Tundra and
Here we go.
Evil Geniuses. I got
All right.
I got some hope for the Cinderella story.
What?
He's trolling. It's okay.
You
Matt.
think EG are
trolling.
going to be lower bracket demons?
I mean, look at what their potential matches are. Like either Shopify or Nine Pandas.
They
got
instantly
a-
lose that, and it's
No, they
the
don't.
road's
They've,
over.
they've got a pretty decent record
my
against Shopify.
gosh,
They got-
dude.
Shut up. You've got LGD or Talon. Pretty decent record against both of them, I would say. Loser of upper bracket, which will be Liquid or Gaiman. I think they could beat Liquid. I think they like. Don't underestimate the power of lower bracket SA Dota.
Yeah,
all right,
no,
that's all I gotta say.
They're
Okay.
Demons
it's an
in front of a
opinion.
crowd. No. I can see what he's saying. They're demons in front of a crowd. Look what they did at TI. Like they just upgrade to not fucking one level above. They go a couple levels above that. And I know there's a question mark around the crowd at the Lima Major, but regardless, just when you're on the main stage, this team, they're good fucking players. So I can see what you're actually saying. They definitely. I think out of all the teams in the low bracket currently, I'd say I can see them probably being the more realistic to make a deep run.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad that I can impress the major cast.
I agree with that idea of saying that Evil Geniuses, out of the 4 teams that are in the lower bracket currently, I would put the most faith in them making a run. But you say that they level up when they play in front of a crowd. They have to make it there first.
Yeah.
Like they have to get through, what is it, 1 series before they get into the playoffs?
Such little faith.
Like, yeah, 1 series before they get into the main stage. So they're gonna have to get through either Shopify or Nine Pandas, and I don't know. I personally haven't seen the performances out of their big stars just yet. And if I'm proven wrong, then hey, I'm proven wrong, and I'll take that in my stride. I think my top 3, I'm probably gonna have to go with you guys and say Gaiman and Tundra. But I'm gonna put Nine Pandas. I'm gonna say.
Whoa!
I'm gonna
No
say,
Shopify fanboy. What
yeah.
the hell?
What, you
I'm telling
you didn't put
Arteezy.
fucking Team Liquid,
I'm
man. What are
telling
you talking
Arteezy.
about? You can't talk this shit. Like, I think that Nine Pandas will.
Unbiased. I don't have preference.
I still think
Like,
Shopify will win
about it.
first round, but I think Nine Pandas can make a run to the lower bracket. I think those guys seem like they're having a lot of fun.
Wow.
I think they're going to get eliminated in the low bracket round 1. I think they're going to choke with
By EG.
0 experience. Yeah.
No,
So
I have some faith.
sorry, Luke.
I have some
Sorry,
faith
brother.
in the Pandas. All right, so at least all of our top 3s are a little different this time around. So there was something else you wanted to talk about, Aries, as well. You said something just before we got into predictions.
Yeah. Well, it was more who I thought the grand finals was going to be, but I said it anyway.
Okay.
So it's okay. I got that out the way. It's all
All
right.
right,
It's
all
all
right.
right.
He couldn't hold
Sure.
it in.
He couldn't.
I couldn't, dude.
Ah,
My Tundra,
Tundra!
this team's fucking good, man. I don't know.
It was
Tundra are
gooning the whole
good. Tundra are good. Dude, I've been thinking about them all night long.
Oh,
You know.
shit!
Move over, Blitz. Owie's in his mind now.
I mean, Owie is
Sorry,
a bit of a
buddy.
dream, but I will say that
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 is
man's
true.
techies performance at TI will forever live in my mind.
I could see what universe saw in him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everybody
Huh.
sees some good shit in him. So, the final topic before we do say goodbye to everybody is this is a little bit of interesting. I don't want to say drama, but this is something that has made its rounds on Reddit recently.
One sec.
Oh, boy.
I just take my photo for the thumbnail. Drama.
He's deleted the tweet.
Okay. Is this
it
the
deleted,
tomato
or
thing?
is it a reply tweet? Because
No,
I
I'm
had a quick look.
pretty sure
Is this
he-
the tomato thing or
Yeah,
no?
the tomato-
If it
the
is, yeah, it's
tomato tweet.
deleted. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he deleted it. So, anyways, let's see if I can find the Reddit thread. So basically, his issue was that, from what I believe, is they wouldn't extend his flight after they'd been eliminated. And from what I know, in a lot of these tournaments and how a lot of these tournaments do run, you get given your flights, and whether or not you get eliminated determines whether or not you actually go home. This is why a lot of people talk about, hey, it's me from the airport. Like you get sent home in a lot of these long form tournaments because they're not going to keep you for an extra week because you're not providing anything to their tournament, right? So he was, I can't remember it verbatim, but it was saying something along the lines of them not extending his flight or something like that. Maybe it's one of you two.
It
remember
was like, if I want a flight past that date, I need to pay for the full ticket or something like that.
Okay, so I think that's wrong. I think he should be able to. They're already paying for the ticket. Why does it matter if it's getting pushed back a week? Sure, they maybe have to pay a fee of pushing the ticket back. If that's the case, I'd be fine with the argument of the individual paying for that.
When you
Like,
say a week, what do you mean? A week after the tournament is done, or a week after they've been knocked out?
Yeah, a week after they've been knocked out. So would
Do they only book the tickets after they've been knocked out, or do they book the tickets at the start? Because what if they made it to the grand final? How does that make sense?
So what I remember was the date was 8th of May, which I think is after the
The
tournament.
day after the
So
tournament.
the
yes.
date the tournament has ended. So in ESL's mind is they book everybody's plane ticket for the day after the major. So it's like
Mhm.
even if you make it all the way to the grand final, you still have your plane ticket, and they just moved your ticket forward when you get eliminated, right? And they won't extend it past that time, which is technically out of their area.
yeah, but I see no issue on why they wouldn't though, because
Cost money to
you-
rebook.
okay, then he can pay for that X. You're not paying for a whole new ticket. He can pay for the X figure that it costs to rebook it.
What if it's a non-cancelable, changeable ticket?
Well, then I think that's on the TO for buying a ticket that you can't.
I mean, I personally think that if you want to take time after a tournament, you should know about that beforehand when they're booking your flights. And then you should tell them, I want to go home on this date instead. So that you've got the ticket in your hand that's for the date that you want before they've organized it all. That's my perspective. But I'm a planner, so that's just me. I know
Okay.
there have been instances of players in the past that as soon as they've been eliminated, they've said, I want to go home now, change my
Yeah.
flight. So, you know.
So, okay, I've been able to find the Reddit thread. Obviously, the tweet has been deleted, so I'm going to try and source what I can from Reddit comments.
I don't know.
most reliable
That's
source.
yeah. I
It
don't
was
know about doing that.
also about a hotel room as well, which could be the important part about this is the fact that they are
Yeah,
not
didn't
going
he
to.
say that they just kicked him out of the hotel or something?
Which I mean, at the end of the day, like, isn't like from what I know is once you get eliminated, you generally get removed from the event, and that's kind of the point.
I think they've
about
got
it.
a set number of rooms that the tournament organizer rents out, right? And then because they know how many rooms they're going to need for people participating in the tournament, so I think they plan for that. So I think that's the whole attitude for it. But then I don't know how that all works because then we've had instances of with people in the past that might have been knocked out of a tournament that then the player goes on to a panel, for example, like what happened in
Yeah.
Stockholm. Like Quinn went on the panel, and I think Celery did as well, and a few others. So, if they were just asked to go home, then they wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that. And I feel like they added a lot to the broadcast. So I don't know. It's a gray area.
Yeah, I think would be speaking out of turn because first I didn't see the tweet that Tomato said, so I don't really know everything that he's bringing up, and I also have zero idea on what goes on behind the scenes for a tournament organizer. I mean, no one does it, honestly. Luke, you probably have a better understanding than me, and Matt would probably have a better understanding, even a little bit more as well for me. So I don't really have much to say just because I feel like there's no reason for me to put my input when I'm ignorant to the situation.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I'm
really
such
do
an
wish
idiot.
that I had a screenshot of the tweet because I remember there was some specific wording about certain things. But from what I've been able to glean here, it has seemed that it's pretty common practice, and from things that I know in tournaments that I've been a part of is generally like as teams get eliminated, you get removed from the hotel and you get sent home because it's just extra cost to the tournament. As Matt said, unless you're adding something extra to the tournament. Most of the time they generally don't keep you around, especially after it's only group stages as well. Like I could understand if this was like playoffs and they keep you around in the arena, but I mean the studio's in a different spot than what the arena is going to be, so not everybody's in the same spot. So sending them home makes the best financial decision for the TO because you got eliminated. But
Yeah,
I mean, and also one last thing I'll say about this: the fact that he deleted it, there was obviously something wrong with the way that he talked about it. You don't just delete a tweet if you're in the right. So whether or not it was his organization, whether or not it was ESL, he deleted the tweet. So that means that whatever the issue was either got resolved or he was in the wrong.
So
Well,
I
it
went
could
to
be in
his
the right, but it could just be the wrong way to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
true.
I guess
Exactly.
that's
Could
in
be
the
that as
wrong
well.
a little bit as well.
Yep.
So I went to his Twitter and I looked at the profile picture and I'm like, that's a really cute apple on tomatoes picture. It's a fucking tomato. I'm an idiot.
Oh, that's the colorblind. It's okay.
No,
You
it's
can
red.
you can just use that excuse. It's okay. Just say.
No, but it is cute though. I want it.
Jesus
okay.
fucking Christ! All right, let's just end the episode there, boys, because I think
Wait,
that is
wait,
it.
whoa,
What,
whoa, 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 whoa. Do we?
You got to
no,
give
no,
him
I
a
don't-
chance to say something dumber.
Okay.
No, whoa, whoa. Hang on. I
Aries,
was actually gonna.
got
I
something
was
to
just
say?
gonna say quickly. Do you guys not want to do predictions for upper bracket, like just the
Oh,
first
okay.
Oh, yeah,
round?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, game and team
Um,
spirit. What are we thinking?
Gaming.
Gaming.
Oh, we're not doing matches. That's kind of boring.
2-0.
I think Gaming 2-1. I think Liquid 2-1 as well. But again, I think they're going to beat OG because they're like 6-0 versus them recently. They have an incredible track record. I don't know why the fuck OG picked them, but they've got a lot of confidence. That's a side note. Let's go Liquid. Shopify 2-0 and Tundra 2-0 versus LGD. That's me. You guys, what do we think?
All right. I
Oh,
think
yeah, the host
2-0 Gaming for the first one. OG Liquid, I think that's probably going to be a 2-1 as well for Liquid.
Let's go.
Shopify and 9 Pandas, I think that's going to be a 2-1. I think there could be some weird drafts coming into that one, and I agree with the 2-0 for Tundra against PSG.
My boys, that's right.
Yep.
2-0 Gaming.
Yep.
2-1 OG. I think
Oh!
mine could-
Oh,
of course,
shit!
Of
I
course.
gotta,
Alright,
I
alright.
gotta get some spice
Bliss is
in
getting on
there.
the line.
Do you want
Danog
many
is a fucking
similar things?
hater.
Yep, for sure. Send it to Blitz, and then I'll just send Lamau to you again. Shopify 2-1 and Tundra 2-0.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so we're all on the same boat except for the Liquid OG series, which, I mean, you pick them for a reason, and I
Pick
feel
it for
like
a reason.
this
You've got
is
2 new players.
very true. This is something that I believe Gods talked about it like 6 years ago. It's like, whenever there's Dota on your screen, you always got to figure out what the fuck they're thinking, because there is a reason. It may look stupid,
What?
but there's definitely a reason. He talked about it at like a BTS. There's a line that he had from like a Beyond the Summit, like a summit years ago.
Oh, rip in peace.
Rest in peace. Yes. But yeah, okay. So that's what the upper bracket is going to be. We're not going to go through the whole bracket because it's going to take forever. So I think to round out this show, group stages was, I think there was a lot of meh games, to be perfectly brutal.
Fucking hell, dude.
Yeah.
You reckon? Jesus Christ.
There was a lot of games that were very stompy, very one-sided. We saw some cool stuff. We saw some interesting stuff, and I think we
We
found
saw what's
some...
good. We know what's good now.
And I think we've also found what teams are going to look good because we're getting ever closer to TI, and that conversation is going to happen, especially once we start getting in towards the Bali Major. This last tour is going to be all important for those Div 1 teams. Rest in peace, Div 2 teams. You won't be able to have a shot. You're going to have to go through some qualifiers. But once we start getting towards TI, the meta is going to start to even out a little bit, and we're going to be seeing these teams. So, boys, final words before we say goodbye to everybody as they get ready for episode 5.
Enjoy winning the major, Liquid. Believe in you.
Except you didn't predict them at all.
What the hell?
Hope to see you all in Bali, maybe. I mean, I'm
Question
going
mark?
if I'm working there or not, probably. So, yeah, that'd be hype.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see everyone at some majors. Hopefully we get to see people at TI as well. That is the...
AI Melbourne is happening.
You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. TI in Australia. We're going to join you guys in the arena. Hopefully we get to join you guys for episode 5 as well. So thank you everybody for joining us for another episode here of the Dota 2 recap show. We will be back with episode 5 after the major is done and starting to look towards DPC Tour 3 as well. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe and we'll see you guys for the next one.